Hi, my name is David James Poissant, and I'm going to be reading Chapter 4 from my new novel, Lake Life, out this month from Simon & Schuster. Chapter 4. Diane Maddox exhales. Diane Maddox, who traded Tennessee for Texas. Diane Maddox, whose parents are divorced. Diane Maddox, who married Michael 10 years ago and wouldn't take her husband's name. Diane Maddox, who carries a child inside her. Diane Maddox, who had an abortion in high school and who does not regret that choice, but who is not in favor of making that choice a second time. Diane Maddox, who went to school to be a painter before settling for being a those who can't do art teacher. Diane Maddox, who wonders whether 33 is too early for a midlife crisis. Were women said to have those, and if those meant more than a red motorcycle and the affair to go with it. Diane Maddox, who's been reassessing her infinitesimal place in the cruel and sideways pressing world. Diane Maddox, who likes dangly earrings. Diane Maddox, who has always longed to visit Reykjavik. Diane Maddox, who grew up watching Mad About You and wanted to be Helen Hunt. Diane Maddox, who in 8th grade cried through the Mad About You finale, cried over the fact that Paul and Jamie weren't together anymore. They would give it another try the way Diane's parents gave it another try, too many times to count, giving it another try, code for the pain a daughter feels when some mornings dad is there eating Cheerios and some mornings mom says, I hope that fucker drives that thing off a fucking bridge. Diane Maddox, who's unhappy, but for whom divorce does not feel like an option, whether to prove something to her parents or to Mad About You, she isn't sure. Diane Maddox, who wonders whether things would have gone better had she taken her husband's name, though of course a name can't save you. A name can't save a marriage, can't save a house from sale or a boy from the bottom of a lake. Diane in the ambulance. Diane not crying, keeping calm. Diane following the paramedic's instructions as the ambulance navigates country roads and the paramedic measures Michael's blood pressure. Diane Maddox, not Starling, and it's never too late to change a thing except sometimes it is, pressing the damp cloth to the head of the man she loves. Or loved. Some days, let's face it, she's not sure. Blood pooling beneath the cloth, the forehead, an awfully vascular area, the paramedic says. Worse than it looks, which Diane takes to mean looks worse than it is, though she can't be sure. There will be stitches, though she hopes against concussion, against brain injury, against anything permanent, because, in all fairness, can the girl who said in sickness and in health still speak for Diane at 33? Say Michael slips into a coma or spends his life in diapers drinking through a straw. Does the Diane who said, I do love this man enough to wipe his ass another 50 years? And how to love a man who's made it clear, if not in words, then in scowls and sighs, and the way he picks strings from the frayed cuffs of his jeans, that he'd rather her not have their kid. Does she love Michael enough to stay? Does she love herself enough to leave? Diane doesn't know, knows only that Michael's blood is real and warm and won't stop rising from his head. The ambulance brakes, the doors open, and Diane breathes. The hospital is not what she was expecting, small and beige and boxy. The building looks less like a hospital than a bank someone dropped onto an acre in the woods. Gently, she is pushed aside by a nurse at the curb, Michael lowered into a wheelchair and asked to hold the cloth to his own head. Of all the fears Diane has ever known, fear of flying, of snakes, of seeing the sticks minus sign become a plus, never has she known a fear like watching her husband's face paint the water red. The paramedic pushes the wheelchair forward. The nurse holds the door open for Michael to be pushed through, and Diane follows, feeling useless. Inside, the waiting room is empty, the floor a checkerboard. The woman at the front desk is rude, the hallways are hot, the x-ray room is cold. Then Michael is on the table and she's at his side. The betadine goes on, and Michael winces, his forehead orange. The needles go in, and she has to look away. She holds his hand. The next time she looks, 8 Frankensteinian stitches hold his head together. They fill the gap between eyebrow and hairline, as though Michael's left eyebrow has an eyebrow of its own. Then the x-rays are in, and all is well. Good enough for this country doctor anyway. though Michael gives Diane a look that says, "When we get home, I'm getting a second opinion." Not that they can afford a second opinion. What with a mortgage they can hardly handle on a house that's worth half what they paid in 2007, 4 maxed out credit cards, plus Diane's student loans, which, no matter how hard she ignores them, aren't exactly going anywhere. Still, she's glad to see Michael's talking, smiling. Mostly, though, she's happy she won't have to change his diapers till death do them part. That said, there is a diaper she wouldn't mind changing in fewer than 7 months. This love for a thing unborn, a thing that isn't even yet a thing. How to explain this love to her husband? She promised him she'd never want a child, and she'd meant it at the time. The mistake wasn't getting pregnant. The mistake was making a promise that was never hers to keep. The doctor scrubs his hands. A nurse will be with them shortly to discuss care and cleaning, he says, then dries his hands and leaves. Michael is still on the table, lying down. His eyes are on her middle, as though he can see beyond her waist into her womb. "We're keeping it," she wants to say, but doesn't. Not yet. She's not religious, but she is superstitious. It seems bad luck to fight about the pregnancy today, as though doing so might invite the spirit of the dead boy into her, might curse her with a baby born blue-lipped, without breath. If fates are steered by thoughts, by words, the least Diane can do on this day is keep quiet. So she lets her husband hold her hand. She smiles, and there are many, 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 many things she does not say.